computations from a circle graph. All right, the circle graph shows how the annual budget for a company is divided by department. If the amount budgeted for media and sales combined is $18,750,000, what is the total annual budget? Oof. All right. So for annual budget, 4% goes to media and 21% goes to sales. So together we have 25% of the graph. And we know this 18,750,000 is only 25% of the amount of money spent. So this company spends a whole lot of money. So what we want to do is we want to divide, because we would have T, which represents the annual budget, times 25% gets us this 18 million. So what we want to do is we want to kind of go backwards. I want to know what T is. I want to know what the annual budget actually is. So I want to divide by 25% and make sure you change it from a percentage to a decimal. We don't want to divide by 25%. We want to divide by 0.25. And then that brings us with our division. We do have access to a calculator in this one with these very large numbers. So if we divide by 0.25, we get $75 million. So the total annual budget for this company is $75 million. So that's quite a huge budget there. All right, let's go ahead and click next here and we'll actually work some of these out. So a circle graph shows how a family spends its annual income. If $41,400 is used for insurance, housing, and clothing combined, what is the total annual income? All right, so let's go ahead and click on our pen here. Doop. And I've got to darken this up a little, or it's too bright. All right, so we have insurance. So insurance is 10%. So we're going to bring this out. We have 10%. Plus, we want, let's see, what's the other one? Housing. I'm going to do these in different colors for whatever reason. So we have housing. So I'm going to bring this one over here. So we have 20% for housing. And the last piece they told us was clothing. So let's do kind of a pink for clothing. Why not? Clothing was 16%. So here are our three amounts. I want to add these together so I know my total percentage that this 41,400 represents. So I have 10 plus 20 plus 16. So 10 plus 20 is 30. Plus another 16, that's 46%. So 46% of my budget is spent on insurance, housing, and clothing. So remember, if I take 46% and I multiply by my total income, so I'm going to use a T again, then that would equal this 41,400. I don't know my total income. I'm trying to figure that out. But I know 46% of it I use on these three things, and this is how much I spend on those three things. Remember, when we actually put this in the calculator, we're going to need to make sure we change this. We don't want it to say 46%. We want to jump that decimal 2 times over, so we want 0.46 times T. So I'm gonna rewrite that right there just so that you remember. You know what? I'm gonna erase this really quick because I like to write it as a kind of a stacked thing, and I can't do that with how I just did that. So 0.46 times T equals, so in order to figure out what the total budget is, I need to undo the multiplication here, so I have to divide by 46.46 so that I know. Any number, it doesn't matter how ugly the number looks or crazy, if it's the same number divided by the same number, boop, they cancel out to become 1. T equals, so now we're going to take this and we're going to go 41,400 divided by 0.46. So this household makes $90,000 per year. So that's their annual budget. That's a pretty good household income there. All right. The circle graph shows how the annual budget for a company is divided by department. So we're going back to a company. If the total annual budget is $100,000. So we know our total annual budget now is not 100,000, sorry, 100 million. I forgot some of my zeros there. So 100 million. What is budgeted for editorial and sales combined? So now I need to know those two pieces. So we have editorial. I'm gonna do this over here. We have 7% plus we have sales. Whoop. And I want to make sure, yeah, editorial and sales. So this was another 18%. So we want to add these two together. So together we get 25%. So that's, we just need to make sure we add those two together because they're asking us to do 2. And then we're going to multiply this 25% by the 100 million. And that's going to give us how much we're allowed to spend on editorial and sales combined. So we need to go to our calculator. Remember, we're not going to type in 25%. There's no percent sign. I need to move my decimal 2 times to the left and get 0.25. And then I'm going to multiply by 100 million. And let's make sure I have 1, 2. Darn it, I need to keep track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8, yeah. Yes, okay. Sorry, I wanted to recount real quick because that's a lot of zeros and it's hard to track. Okay, so we are allowed to spend 1, 2, 3, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So comma. Okay, sorry, I wanted to make sure I had my zeros correct. So we're allowed to spend 25 million on editorial and sales. Let's check that. And we're good to go. Okay, let's do one more of these. The circle graph shows how the annual budget for a company is divided by department. If the amount budgeted for sales and research combined is $37,500,000, what is the total annual budget? So we're back to, we don't know what our total annual budget is. We need to know what percentage we're multiplying by in order to get 37,500,000. So we need to know our percentage. So we're going to take, we have sales and research combined. So we get sales and research. So it's actually these two right next to each other, 19%. And then we have 31%. We're going to add these two together. So we get 10, 4, 5. So we get 50%. And that does look like a line that's going straight across the circle there through the center. So that's 50% of the budget there. So I want to multiply by 50%. Remember to move this decimal 2 times because we don't have a percent symbol on our calculator. Some calculators do have a percent symbol, but this one does not. So we have 0.50 times, oh, you know what I forgot to do? We're not multiplying. We have to divide by 0.50 on both sides because we have to undo the multiplication. So I forgot to write that out. I just started grabbing my calculator. Any number divided by itself cancels. So now I can grab my calculator here. And I'm going to clear this out because we want 37,500,000 on the top. Okay, perfect. I want to make sure I put all the zeros in there. And I'm going to divide by 0.50. And I'm going to hit enter. Okay. So the amount we're allowed to spend, oh no, sorry, the total budget is 7, 5, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So make sure you put the right number of zeros in or you'll get the wrong answer here. So we have $75 million budget total. All right, let's check. Okay, clear. And we finished another one, yay.